you doing, brother? How you
I,
doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm splendid, brother. I'm glad to have you on here, man. I was just telling the people that you are the first male that I had as a stroke survivor to talk on these actual lives. So I'm very grateful for you to be on here with me. Thank you very much,
No,
sir.
I appreciate you asking me to come on and
No
having
doubt,
me
no.
on.
So let's get a little background of what actually happened to you, and then let's talk about what you're actually doing now. So what
Okay.
actually happened to you?
So in 2019, I was 29. I had a what was deemed a brainstem stroke. So I had a bleed at the brainstem, which was caused by a cavernous malformation or cavernous angioma, which is an abnormal cluster of blood vessels in the brain. It
Hmm.
leaked a tablespoon of blood onto my brain over time. So I had symptoms for, I would say, a few weeks before I even went to the hospital, but they progressively got worse. So started out with losing sensation in my foot, to when I felt it was very serious was my vision got blurry, and started having, I would say, more daily headaches than normal. So one day, I was at home with my wife and I was laying down, and I told her if I took a nap, and I said if I wake up not feeling the same, then I want to go to the hospital. So went to sleep, and I had a dream, or vision where a figure came to me in a dream, and it asked me that I trust it, and I said absolutely. And so it said, okay, son, well, we have to go. So instantly I woke up out of my sleep. I tapped my wife and I said, hey, okay, we got to go. And she said, you want to go to the hospital? I said, yes. So got there. They immediately took me back after seeing the condition I was in, deemed that it was, at first they thought it was a mass after a CAT scan, and they ran an MRI to see that it was a cavernous malformation, or what they call cavernoma. So I avoided surgery as my body reabsorbed the blood, and I was in the hospital for a week, and then I was transferred to an acute rehab facility for 3 weeks, where I had a very intense rehab program, inpatient.
So you say that you didn't have any surgery on this. So is this likely to happen again to you, or are you perfectly fine now?
The chances, so my the malformation has essentially shrunk down to millimeters. So the chances that they deemed were a 80-20 chance of it not happening versus happening again. So it's a 20% chance. And because of my age, they just didn't feel that, they felt that surgery was more of a risk than allowing me my body to naturally heal.
Right, right. So with this happening, like how would this come about? Because I had an AVM and they said
Mhm.
I was conceived with this. Is this similar to that?
Yeah, so as doing my research after everything, it seems to be hereditary from what we know. My brother has had a cavernous malformation, which he suffers seizures from time to time, and then my uncle as well has a cavernous malformation, and he has the same symptoms as my brother.
Wow.
So it seems to be, from what I know, that it's hereditary the maternal side of my family through the males.
So I see that probably like 3 or 4 years ago when I started looking into this stuff, I didn't know a lot of information about it, but it seemed like, through social media, a lot of people are getting to know this information now. And what kind of advice do you give to people just on GP? Should they get checked out or what? What do you advise?
Oh yeah, I tell people now, after going through what I went through, to definitely get checked out. It's no, you eliminate the unknown by getting checked out, instead of trying to, people, what they do is try to go on a WebMD and self-diagnose, and you can just call up your doctor, and they're the professionals. They'll tell you exactly what's going on. I
Right.
understand people are scared to do so. I was in those shoes. I was scared. As I said, I had symptoms for a week, but going through what I went through, I tell people, hey, go get checked out.
So just to be clear, the first thing that happened to you was what? What was that symptom so people can recognize this and also know what to tell their doctor?
The first thing I noticed was I had um, difficulty focusing. So daily task at work that I needed to really lock in and focus, I just couldn't lock in and focus. So that was sign number one. And then the second thing was my balance and coordination. I thought I just self-diagnosed as vertigo, and it was my balance and coordination that was next.
Hmm. So
So
basically,
go ahead.
focus and balance and coordination. If that is going away, something's going on with your head. It might not be what you have, but you should get checked out.
I would say so. Yes.
Got you, got you, got you. Okay, so knowing all this stuff now, and you look like you're an active person. How
Mhm.
is life now? Like you saying coordination, did you play any sports or anything like that? Can you play those sports now?
Um, yeah, so I played basketball. That was what I did growing up in college, and even the week before I went to the hospital was one of the last things that I had done. So right now I'm functioning. I lost. So what happened was I lost the function, or I had right side facial paralysis, and
Really?
the left side of my body was, I could move it, but it was numb, very numb. So I couldn't really feel anything. So I lost like the speed of my motor skills and coordination. So now I'm still back in. I'm going through the basic levels of physical therapy. So now they put me through a lot of advanced things to get me back into sports. So I would say that I'm almost there. I believe I'm another couple months out of rigor of very intense therapy that I start tomorrow, actually, to get myself back into playing basketball and things like that.
Now, the question I always ask people, and hopefully you can give me an answer too, is you was talking about you had some kind of vision. No, obviously like I said the same thing. I had a not necessarily a vision, but I prayed and I heard God's voice answer me.
Hmm.
So by that vision, do you equate that to being God that was actually talking to you? And if so, um, what does it mean to you for your life now since you know that you spoke to God or something like that?
I 100% say that that was God. I'll tell, that was the first thing I related the vision to. Was it being God just telling me I was going to be fine, because that same figure appeared in my room, in the hospital room, where the went as is almost simultaneous as the doctor was saying, we found a mass on your brain. That figure was in the corner of my hospital room saying, remember that I'm going to protect you. So I equate that 100% to being God. I tell that to everybody. And for me, it's a amazing feeling just knowing that, having that experience, for one. And then, some days it just takes me out where I think back like, wow, sometimes it's like the why me, like what was so special about me that this
Right.
vision that I was selected to have an interaction with God. So for me, it's one of the highlighting moments of that, and that's where I knew I was going to be 100% fine.
Yeah, because like for me, I'm scared to death of being in that situation again. That God is actually talking to me. Are you
Hmm.
scared, or is it something that you welcome?
No, I welcome it. Now I try to listen more. I try to make sure that I'm listening for God more than I did, because I was trying to just follow my own path and do everything my way. So I'm open to it, because we would probably tend to think that if we're talking to God or experiencing God, it's not in a good light. That's
Right.
something, but I don't take it that way. I'm always trying to listen, to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because I looked at I was given a second chance, so I should always be listening. I tried to do things my way the first go round, so, and
Right. Right.
it
Right.
got me to the hospital. So now I'm welcoming of it.
So that's yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel that with this experience is like before I was not really in control of my life. I didn't really realize what I was not in control of. But after
Hmm.
this, I realized that God is in control, and I just got to listen to Him and allow Him to be, I guess, the captain or the pilot of my body, of my life, to actually do these things that I'm doing. Um,
Hmm.
so the next question I have for you is, do you actually feel that this was a curse or a blessing that this happened to
Um, I honestly think it was a blessing because it taught me exactly, who I was. It showed me exactly what I was made of, and it
you? Right.
gave me purpose. I believe before my stroke that I kind of walked around just going through the motions of life. Like I got to get a job, get a career, go to work, just thinking of myself and I just was going through the motions. I was just here. I was just existing. I wasn't living. So to me it's a blessing that it happened because it taught me who I am and what my purpose here is in life.
So yeah, you keep on bringing up the word purpose, and I'm glad you bring that up because that's basically the segue of this whole entire series I'm trying to do is basically death taught us how to live.
Hmm.
Um, so what is your goal right now? What are you trying to do? Like you keep on saying purpose. What is that?
So for me it's all about about educating people on just the brain conditions, just if I can help somebody, educate somebody to where they know the signs to help someone else or to help themselves to eliminate going through what essentially we have gone through, then I believe that's what my purpose is to just serve others, but to in the form of educating them because I was uneducated on these topics before this happened to me.
Right. So I know that you have this thing on your Instagram. It's called To the T
To the
2.0.
T.
What is that about? Are you making up a corporation or a foundation about that?
Yes. So we've had a brand for a while, but again, that brand had no purpose. Well, the first purpose was my brother suffered the same thing when he was younger, at the age of 4. So it was kind of being his advocate, and it then now it's just kind of grown into just our sir, what it represents is to the T is two brothers, whose name begin. It's the play of both of our names. My name is Tymiak, his name is Tehran. So that's where, the to the T comes from. And the color scheme represents our causes for epilepsy awareness, stroke, traumatic brain injury awareness, and things of that nature. So we're trying to create a brand that well we're creating a brand to bring awareness to the issues and a foundation to bring awareness and support, just to make sure everybody throughout the world is educated and informed.
So do you have any branding, anything right now that people could recognize? And if they go on Instagram, they can actually see what you're talking about?
Yeah, so I have like the logo on my shirt here and then on my cup. So so essentially, like I said, the colors represent we have two color versions where it's the red and blue and then the purple and red, where this signifies, my traumatic brain injury and then the stroke awareness. And it's that's where it's all over Instagram. And the shield, how we came about, is just represents protection. So we want to be a brand of where people feel comfortable enough and included, and they feel protected that we're trying to speak out on not just our issues, but any of the pressing issues in the world today.
I'm glad you brought that up, included. Like, I have noticed, and I don't know if you have noticed this or not, but especially in the Black community, not a lot of people know about what a stroke is. When I had the stroke and they told me that my stroke was happening, it felt like a heart attack for me. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what it was. And then I got educated on it. And I think a lot of people, especially in our community, need to know about this stuff. So I congratulate you and your brother for actually bringing this about epilepsy and also about your stroke, your hemorrhagic strokes. This is pretty cool stuff. So where can we find this information about you and your education that you're actually giving out?
So right now I'm in the works of getting a website developed that'll just be the landing for our foundation and for our story. So we're working on that. Working on a June release, which is which will mark the 2 years recovery mark for me.
Okay.
So that's we're trying to get everything in order to roll out for that, to just make it a special day, a special event, and so everything will be available for people to view and people to see in the very near future.
So how do people look at you now? Like for me, it was very hard to actually adjust. Actually speaking to God and coming back into the world. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and things of that nature. And it was very hard for me to get back into the world. And you saying that you're married, you know, did this affect your marriage? Did it affect your wife? Were you a different person? Did she had to take more time with you? Can you explain that stuff to us?
Um, it didn't affect my marriage. It made our bond, I would say, stronger, which I hear a lot of horror stories. Well, not horror stories, but I just hear a lot of
Oh,
stories where it wasn't what I experienced, and I couldn't imagine it any other way. I thought people just kind of rally around each other in situations like this, and for me, it's some cognitive changes. Like I have issues with short-term memory and things like irritability and things like that. But my wife, she's been great. She's learned to just how to manage and how to, just learn to manage and deal with everything as I'm dealing with it. So it didn't really affect us, but she does, she is learning, um, I guess, how to manage. And, I would say I am a different person. I've grown, mentally, but I do have some areas where I still have deficits, and, she's adjusting and learning as we go.
so let me ask you this question: Is this a true statement? It's true for me. I'm actually
Hmm.
if it's true for you. When this happened to me, I felt like I was three different places at one time. I felt like I was an 18-year-old boy mentally. Um, I felt like I was a 60-year-old man physically, and I
Hmm.
knew that I was a 40-year-old man. Is that something that you can relate to?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, because I felt like I watched myself re uh re grow up. When I was in the acute facility, I was essentially, in my mind, a infant. I can just stay in the supine position on my hands and my knees and barely. So I relearned to walk, relearned to talk. So over that time, I did feel that mentally I was still like myself. For the most part, I was still that, 29-year-old male, but physically I did feel like I was reborn, where I had to relearn how to walk and talk and things like that. So I had that same sentiment as well.
So like life is completely different. You see life with new eyes, basically.
Mm, yep.
Um, what was your motivation? Because I hear this a lot that a lot of people that suffer from a stroke, they give up. A lot of physical therapists tell me like, yeah, there's a lot of people out here that can actually walk, but they don't walk because they have given up. What is your motivation? What motivated you to actually move forward?
Um, for me, first off, my faith, and then having that vision to just know I was blessed to be given a second chance. I say that was first and foremost, and then my family, and having them around and seeing not how that the situation impacted me physically, but just seeing um, my family just dealing with it as well, and them showing up every day. My mom and my wife just being there every day, invested, was just the source for me. I was due to be married in 3 months from when I suffered the stroke. So I had the
Oh,
stroke
so
in
you wasn't
June.
married yet.
No, no, we were still engaged, and our wedding was set for September. So I had a little added, motivation. But even without the wedding, just my family, showing up the way that they did was the one where that and God were the two biggest things.
So basically, your faith and your family support, the positive energy around you, got you through
Hmm.
it. Okay. With me, and I'm asking these questions because I like to know what a man's point of view is besides mine. But my mom, like before, I was the person that everybody went to. You had questions, you needed help with financial. I was the person that helped you out. But after I had my stroke, I wasn't that person anymore. I needed
Mm,
other people to help me out. And my mom used to call me, and she probably still does behind my back. I don't know. She called me selfish Greg, um, because it wasn't necessary that I was selfish, but I was like more in tune of getting myself better. Does
mhm.
anybody say that to you, or do you feel like you become that way?
No, I call it intentional. Everybody that was around me allowed me to understood that I needed to be selfish. I was like you, the go-to person to other family that, I was thrust into the man of the house in my household at a younger age. So I was, filling some pretty big shoes, helping out around the house and things like that. So, um, my mom understood that what this would take, and it would take for me to be selfish and intentional with my time and with my thoughts and my energy, that they just allowed me to be selfish for once. So it wasn't looked at as a bad thing. They, hey, you need to take care of your health, you need to put yourself first sometimes.
Right. So, with all that being said, how do you deal with that negative energy if people come up to you with negative energy, or they say to you, like, I get this a lot, like, hey, big man, come over here, help us out, pick up this chair or something. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with things like that?
um I just I just try to provide education, because I always been a person to try to take the high road. And I know at first things like that would have had me, I would have been a little more sensitive to it. Um, but I just try to educate people like, hey, I know just because I was an athlete, or I'm still in solid shape, is I have some limitations, and I put the information out there of what it is that causes it, and why. So they're like, oh, okay. Like just the other day my grandma asked could I help her move, and I'm like, I
Right.
can't move anything really really big, like dressers or beds. And she had to think for a minute. I think a lot of, for me, what happens is because essentially I look normal, that
Right.
people forget that, okay, there might be some deficits that he's still working with. And I think it's forgotten a lot. And it used to be frustrating, but that was where my drive to educate people kicked in.
So let me ask you this other question, and this is something that I went through as well. I just want to know your feedback on it.
Hmm.
For me, I thought there was three stages to this, and I'm not sure where you are with your recovery. But for me, my first stage was um, denial. Like, oh man, I had a stroke. I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't wait tomorrow. I'm gonna go back to work. I was in complete denial. Uh, the second stage was acceptance. I accepted that this happened to me. This is my new normal. This is what my life is going to be like. And then after that, also with that, it was depression and anxiety. But after that, the third one is like enlightenment. Like I understand what, you know, I see the scriptures a little bit differently now. I can understand what they've been talking about when I didn't understand it before, since I went through this experience. Do you feel like this type of way, or is it far fetched?
No, no, that's not far fetched at all. I honestly felt those same exact sentiments where, for me, it was for the first 6 months, I couldn't even say the words, I had a stroke. I would always refer that, oh, I had a bleed on my brain. I had it from a cavernous malformation, something like that. I was in denial. So, yeah, I'm gonna get back to work tomorrow.
Right.
And those same exact things. Then it moves from that to acceptance. Like, okay, I accept that this happened. I can say it, but I still don't feel the same. So I look at myself in the mirror, and it's like I don't see the same person that I used to be. So it bothered me. And I was I know they say it's not a real medical term, like high functioning depression, where I could still smile and just hide the fact of what I was feeling inside, that to not be a burden on other people. That I could just smile, I could still crack jokes and things like that.
I'm a jerk.
But
I'm a jerk. I'm a complete jerk.
yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
So it was it was that, but I was really, depressed. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I'm like, all right, I accepted it. Then I decided to go to a therapist and do talk therapy and get help. And then it was enlightenment where I was like, okay, I fully understand why this happened. I see the scriptures different, like you said, and I understand the mission that I'm on. It was a reason why this happened, and it was just on me to embrace it.
I got you on that. Okay. Oh, whew. So I'm not crazy. Basically, everything I'm thinking that you went through as well. That's pretty cool to actually know that other people actually feel that same exact way. Um, Now I'm getting to a different part of this interview.
Mm-hmm.
We talking for about 30 minutes, but now I want to actually ask you a couple of questions. I just want you to give me probably a 30-second uh, clip of actually each question or your response. So, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So the first question is, do you feel different about life?
Yes, I feel absolutely different about life. My whole perspective of life as I knew it changed. Example, like you said, I've learned to I've learned to become more selfless versus selfish like I used to be as far as thinking of only for myself. Now I think, how can I help other people?
Okay. Okay. Question number two, what is important about life?
To me, what's important about life is faith, family, and just leaving a legacy. How are
Okay.
people going to remember me?
Okay. Question number three, what are you trying to accomplish with this new life?
I'm just trying to educate and help as many people as I can. And like I said, just lead a positive legacy here on earth and impact as many people as I can during my time here.
And what does that process look like?
So that process is just helping people, reaching out to people who might have been going through similar things or facing some sort of adversity, and just showing them, being vulnerable with my story enough to show them in hopes that I help them overcome their situations.
Okay. Um, Next question. Is time management important?
Time management is indeed very important. I say, by managing time, you eliminate wasted time. I'm very calculated and intentional with my time. I'm very cerebral with time now.
Hmm. And I'm throwing a bonus question in here,
Hmm.
and I hope you're ready for it. The first person I asked this made them cry, so I hope this is not going to make you cry. You're from Philly, you shouldn't be crying. So here's the question. Here's the question. Who would most be impacted by your death, and how is your relationship changed with them now?
Wow. Um, I would say, I have to say my wife or my mom. Those two cornerstones in my life. Definitely would be hit the hardest, I would say. As I said, I was like the man of the house for so long, so I know it would like crush my mom. So those thoughts, like what I would think about, like, man, I have to really push through because I know how devastated my mom would be if I were to have passed. And I would say me and my mom have always been close, and we've gotten even closer through this. She, understands me as a man now, and doesn't just look at me as her baby boy, but she sees me um, outside of being her son, and my wife. I know as well, just seeing how devastated she was in hearing the news that I had or when they said I had a mass on my brain. Just watching her, I really had to tell her like, hey, I'm going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And our relationship has gotten stronger as well as we're growing and figuring things out day by day. Everybody.
Tommy, I'm gonna tell you something. When I first saw you on Instagram, I was like, "Yo, this dude had a stroke, but he dresses so fly." I'm like, "I like this dude, man. He got some game to him. I got to really connect with this dude." Like, for real, like you really motivated me to actually get off my butt and get back to my flyness, and I really appreciate you on that. I don't know if you was tricking Instagram or not, but you did your thing, and I really appreciate you. And a lot of people need to see that we're not just people out there that's had a stroke and just give up on a life. You came back and like, oh, this is me, this is my life, this is who I am, and I'm showing you guys can make it as well. I really appreciate you for that.
Uh, Thank you, thank you. But no, I wasn't tricking Instagram. That's me. I really take my mom. I attribute that to my mom. She just always wanted me, to dress nice. She always dressed me nice as a kid, and it carried over to being an adult. So, I would say for the first couple months of recovery, that kind of went out the window. I didn't really care, and then
Yeah,
it was like I started to look in the mirror, like, okay, like I
yeah,
started as I felt like myself. I needed to go and start getting dressed and hanging out with my friends, and it just all came back, like the confidence that I had and things like that. So, it wasn't perfect, but I grew and I got it back,
right. Got you, man. Like
and
I
I
said, I really,
appreciate that. You saying I inspired you to get off the couch and get the swag back.
yeah, yeah, all day. I was like, look at this young brother, man. I'm like, he got to be from up north, man, because that's how we do it up north. See, you got my New York
Yeah.
Yankee hat on. Like, that's how we do it up in New York. So I know you guys in Philly do the same type of thing too. You got to bring that swag. I love it. And I
Yep.
really appreciate you, brother. Like everything that you're actually doing, with your foundation that you're bringing up, your awareness that you're bringing to people, just by your presence and showing that, this thing is not destroying you. That is helping a lot of people. I don't know if you know it or not. I don't know if they be telling you that or not, but it really does. It helped me. I'm gonna tell
Uh,
you that. For sure.
I appreciate that. And like one of the things, I think the first thing that I told my mom as I was laying in the bed in the rehab facility is that I had just seen like a special 30 for 30 of a veteran survivor of, I think he stepped on a landmine or something, and he just pushed through. And I was so inspired, and I was like, man, if I can inspire somebody like this just inspired me, then if it's just one person, I felt like I've done my job. But I feel that, it's big for me being so young to impact people, to show them that, hey, I feel like I'm the middle ground. Just like I can relate with people that are generations older and people that are generations younger. So it's my duty to like bridge that gap, bring us together, and show what's possible.
So, Tommy, let me ask you something. I want you to give. This is the ending of our interview, but I want you to leave our audience with something. I'm gonna leave this on Instagram and also on YouTube. What do you want to leave with people that are strive or survive strokes, or people that's actually dealing with people that have survived strokes? What do you want to leave?
Two things I want to leave them with: not comparing yourself to somebody else's situation, because I know that happens a lot, and that's why I was a little hesitant to be as open with my story, because I'm just a year and a half out, so people are looking like, man, it's a lot of hard work that went into it, but I don't want people to compare themselves to me. It might take them that some people might recover in 6 months, some people might recover in a few years. But as long as you're always giving your best effort every day, you should be comfortable with that. That's big for me, by not comparing, and just bringing a positive attitude daily. Because for me, the biggest thing was positive attitude. I'm a believer the body follows the mind. So
Yeah.
positive thoughts, positive attitude led to positive recovery for me. And if people can do that, then I feel they'll be in, a better place. I know it can be tough. We get depressed and things like that. Be in touch with your emotions, and just bring your best effort every day.
Okay. One last thing. One last thing. You seem like a very intelligent brother, and like you said, you're wise beyond your years. How can people find you if they wanted to contact you to talk to you about anything like this? How can they find you on Instagram or any social media platform?
So they can find me well on on Facebook. It's Tymiak Hawkins. So it's Tymiak Hawkins on Instagram. On Facebook. on Instagram at 2TWOTHET 2.0. So to the T 2.0. And I also have a foundation page, which is the number two, the T underscore foundation. And you could also email me at Tymiak.Hawkins at gmail.com. Like I'm an open book, so I'm willing to help anybody who wants to be helped.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on to my show today. I really appreciate you. We got to do it again. Anything else you want to leave, or are we good?
I think we're good. I just want people to know that it's possible to recover.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to come up to New York. What part of New York you in?
Well, I'm not in New York now. I'm in Atlanta now. I'm from New York.
Oh well, hey, Atlanta had to come. Well, had to come down to Atlanta. But no, I just want everybody to stay positive. I know it's tough during the pandemic, but stay
Yeah.
positive, and use your resources. There's a lot of resources out here. A lot of people that are willing to help, and just don't be afraid to reach out because there are other people out here that are going through something similar that you can bounce off of or lean on for help.
Well, thank you, Tymiak Hawkins. Correct, right? Tymiak
That is
Hawkins.
correct. Yep.
Thank you for coming on to the show today. Thank you for giving us all this information. Thank you for doing what you're doing within the community with epilepsy and also stroke survivors. I really appreciate you, brother. You're a good man. Keep up the good work, brother. Peace out.
Peace out.